disappears without a trace. Often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Rosemary Christensen's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to her. Australian Rosemary Christensen is outgoing and friendly. She likes to socialize.
With no phone calls, nobody answering the home phone, there was something very wrong.
The thing that stands out was my pleading with her to please come stay with me, be safe.
But when she goes missing, it is her husband who pleads for help.
Please, if anybody's seen Rose, know where she's at, please.
I didn't believe any of it for a minute. I knew he had done something to Rosemary and it wasn't going to be good.
As nearly 10 years pass, the case goes cold until...
I felt that someday my phone would ring, and I thought at that point in time I would be able to come forward.
This is the mystery of how Rosemary Christensen disappeared. Forty-three-year-old Rosemary Christensen is a well-respected realtor near Clearwater, Florida.
She was the friendliest, nicest, sweetest person ever.
She cared a lot about people, and in turn, people cared a lot about her.
The day Rosemary went missing starts just like any other. Rosemary is on her way to work at a local real estate firm for the daily meeting.
It's always the same. We do our pump-up, rah-rah sessions and then listen about new listings and just a normal day.
As her day progresses, Rosemary gets some great news. One of her properties has sold, and she's elated.
She'd worked hard on this contract, and it came through. And, you know, once something like that happens, she would just get overjoyed over it.
Moments like this are the reason Rosemary loves the real estate business. And the business loves her.
She was excellent. She knew what her job was and did it very, very well.
She was very dedicated, very hardworking. I mean, she took things so seriously. In fact, she had won several awards and everything, and she'd only been in it for a couple of years.
Rosemary began her realty career in 1997, shortly after moving to the United States from Holland. In Holland, she was the wife of a diplomat, a role she relished that took her all over the world. Rosemary's Australian accent, cordiality, and worldliness help her connect with practically everyone she meets.
I met Rosemary at an open house. I had done real estate for a long time, and she's just starting. And then we also got into her background, which was diplomatic. I had a diplomatic background as well. And we instantly hit it off.
Before moving to America, Rosemary also hits it off with someone she meets on the internet. A 47-year-old man from Illinois named Robert G. Temple.
We were just friends at first and it evolved into phone calls. She told me about she was married to a diplomat and, you know, and naturally I didn't believe her when she had told me and all the people that she had met and presidents that she had been to dinners with. You know, I thought it was internet chat, so I think I might have been a secret agent or who knows, you know how people exaggerate.
He had told her that he was with the FBI, that he had several homes in several places, and somehow or another he convinced her to come over to the United States to meet him in person.
Rosemary separates from her husband and flies to Chicago to meet Temple, who's surprised to learn she's been truthful about herself from day one.
When she did come to see me, I knew she was telling the truth, and I had already told her, and I felt so ashamed, you know, that, you know, I'm just a farm boy from Illinois.
Rosemary gets divorced, and after a 6-month courtship, Rosemary and Robert get married and settle in the quiet community of Bel Air, Florida. In this condo, which Rosemary pays for. Rosemary's friends don't really understand the attraction.
When I first met Robert Temple, I had no idea what Rosemary was doing with him.
We're still trying to figure that one out.
Whatever her friends think, Rosemary and Robert do seem to enjoy a true, loving bond.
Sometimes opposites attract, which they do in many relationships. You know, whatever goes on behind closed doors is something we're not ever privy to, but they must have had something to be together.
Thursday, August 26th, 1999, back at work, Rosemary continues to celebrate the property she sold. While she runs through the office parking lot to tell coworkers the good news, she trips and falls onto her knee.
I believe her heel got caught in the asphalt and she skinned her knee. And there's a little scratch.
And she had ripped her hose, so we Band-Aided it up because it hadn't run yet or anything. So she was okay, but she was like so upset about her hose having a hole in it now because she had an appointment.
Meeting with clients is the part of the job Rosemary enjoys the most.
She would take people out to dinner and to lunch and show them where to go.
When she was with clients, they warmed up to her instantly, and we never felt anything but comfortable with her going out with the clients.
But her husband, Robert, worries about the kind of people Rosemary may meet.
That was the only time I ever worried about her was at night. I shouldn't say this, but sometimes I would go ahead and follow her.
At 2 p.m., just 5 hours before her disappearance, Rosemary has an appointment with clients.
I know she was showing property to a couple that she met up in Bel Air Beach.
Rosemary meets her clients at the Bel Air Beach Resort Motel. Next, she takes them to view a number of properties. At one home, Rosemary gets a call on her cell phone around 3:30.
Robert had been calling her.
I called and she said, I'm probably going to be late because I've got about 20 places I can show her if she wants to see them all. We'll just go with whatever she wants to do. But I'll call you before I come home.
A half hour later, Rosemary's phone rings again. This time, Rosemary is annoyed and excuses herself.
Nothing worse than when you're trying to show somebody a house and you're getting interrupted and you lose your train of thought.
At around 5:30 that afternoon, Rosemary apologizes for the interruption and wraps up the appointment. Then she schedules another appointment for 11 a.m. the next day. Rosemary says goodbye to her client and then heads home. This is the last time Rosemary Christensen is seen. The next day, Rosemary's client shows up at the realty office looking for Rosemary. It's unusual that Rosemary didn't call in, but coworker Kathy assumes Rosemary's absence is likely connected to problems she's having with Robert.
The first thing I did think was, okay, they had a falling out, and here she's not coming in. But I just kind of let it go.
Most of the day goes by, and still, no call from Rosemary. Her coworkers are prepping for a company beach party the next day, and Rosemary fails to help as planned.
She was supposed to be making a potato salad for this party, and she didn't have a bowl big enough, so she had asked one of the associates if she could borrow a big bowl. So they put this bowl out and had it sitting out there waiting for her on Friday to pick up, and she never came. And I said, well, she still got Saturday. I mean, it doesn't take long to make potato salad.
But deep down, Kathy thinks Rosemary might be avoiding her coworkers, because Kathy's come to know a secret detail of Rosemary's home life. It's Friday, August 27th, 1999. Florida realtor Rosemary Christensen hasn't been seen since the night before. Her coworker Kathy McKinnon thinks it might be because Rosemary and her husband, Robert Temple, had an argument. In fact, Kathy worries that Rosemary may be hiding from sight. She can't forget something Rosemary told her just a month earlier.
She wanted me to know that she's having problems with Robert and that they'd had major domestic fights. And the reasoning why she was not in the office, she'd be gone for a couple days, is because she was too embarrassed that a bruise would show.
I hate the fact that people think that I could ever hurt Rosemary. You know, I never hurt Rose, threatened her, or anything.
On Saturday, August 28th, Kathy hopes Rosemary will come out of hiding to attend the company beach party. Rosemary and Robert went to the party the year before, but this year, they're both a no-show.
See, she never came, and I had been calling her, and she's with no response.
Rosemary's boss then pages her multiple times.
And the more pages went by without a response, the more elevated the concern became.
After that, the party was over, still no Rosemary. I just figured that she and Robert had a fight and that she was at home trying to make the wounds go away so no one would see it.
The next morning, Kathy and a coworker are worried about Rosemary. They head over to her condominium to check up on her. But Kathy knows that in order to get to Rosemary, she might have to confront Robert.
Robert never really liked me.
As Kathy and a male coworker arrive at the condominium complex to look for Rosemary, they notice Robert's motorcycle and Rosemary's car are still sitting in their parking lot. The vehicles make Kathy wonder why her phone calls have gone unanswered if both Rosemary and Robert are still at home.
I knew something was really wrong then.
Kathy wanders around the back of the complex toward Rosemary's condo, Unit 148.
And all the windows were closed, all the drapes were pulled. It was just dark. I mean, there was nobody, you couldn't see in. And that's when we called the Bel Air police.
Soon the police arrive. A locksmith opens the condo, and an officer enters the home. After the police search the home, they contact Rosemary's best friend, Laurel.
I got a phone call that they were at her condo. Then he proceeded to tell me that the carpet was missing. At that point, I started crying because I had been at her house just recently. The carpet was new, it was beautiful, the walls were freshly painted.
Rosemary had just remodeled her condo, and my carpet guy helped, and I knew something was really, really wrong at that moment.
Desperate for answers, Kathy calls Robert Temple's family in Decatur, Illinois, and speaks to a woman who answers the phone.
I just asked if she had seen Robert, and she said that Robert was up there in Illinois. And I said, well, is Rosemary with him? And she said no. And I said, well, we can't seem to find Rosemary. And she asked me if I had looked in the trunk of Rosemary's car for her. I asked her why would she say something like that, and she goes, well, you know they've been having problems.
What was allegedly said intensifies Kathy's suspicions about Robert. She's somewhat surprised when moments later, Robert calls her back.
I said, Robert, where's Rosemary? And then he started getting all upset and said, did she leave me, Kathy? Did she leave me? I said, I don't know, Robert. All I want to know is where is she? Do you know where she is? And that's when he says that she went off with some people Thursday night and he left town. I told him he was lying. I said, Robert, don't be telling me this kind of crap. He just says, I know you're not going to believe it, but it doesn't matter. That's exactly what the point is.
Kathy goes straight to the police and files a missing persons report. The rest of Rosemary's co-workers fan out around the community, looking for signs of their missing friend.
Anybody sees her or anything, that number.
Okay. Groups went around driving the different neighborhoods to see if there's any signs of Rosemary at all. We did not come up with anything.
Beggins is so worried, he hires a private investigator who specializes in missing persons cases, Dick Price.
He said he was very, very concerned about it, as much as all the girls were, and that's how I really got into it, and that's where it started that day.
As the search for Rosemary ramps up, Pinellas County Sheriff's detectives take over the investigation and attempt to locate Temple.
They learned rather quickly that he was in Illinois visiting relatives, I believe, and he had planned that trip, he said, beforehand, and it was a point of some dispute with his wife, some argument, some disagreement, he later explained.
They learn Rosemary's husband isn't only with his relatives, he's with another woman.
His traveling companion was a 22-year-old woman by the name of Leslie Stewart. Obviously, that raises everybody's suspicion to some degree. At the time, the suggestion, of course, between the lines was that this was not a perfect marriage if there was a girlfriend involved.
Robert met Leslie Stewart while both worked as customer service agents at a phone sex and psychic hotline.
Probably within a couple of weeks after I met her, we were having sex every day, either in the back parking lot at work, in her car, or in the bathroom at work.
Back in Florida, detectives officially search the condo. They find a collection of used cleaning products and painting supplies, items that were purchased the morning after Rosemary's disappearance at a nearby Walmart by Robert Temple using Rosemary's credit card.
I was able to obtain the receipt from Walmart. It was Clorox, it was Febreze, and scrub brushes, a knife, duct tape, anything that could be used to either clean evidence up or erase a crime scene.
But there's one item listed on the receipt that leaves private investigator Dick Price perplexed. A tote with wheel. Price obtained one to try to figure out why Temple would have purchased it, and why it is the only item police couldn't locate.
My thoughts were that this is just a perfect piece of equipment that could get rid of, number one, all of the carpet real easy, and also to be able to dispose of a body.
At the time, detectives report that Rosemary's husband, Robert Temple, is cooperating and has agreed to return to Florida for further questioning.
We've said before that he is not a suspect. He has the understanding we'd like to speak to him.
Authorities don't name Temple a suspect because solid evidence linking him to Rosemary's disappearance hasn't been discovered. Also, it seems possible Temple really doesn't know what happened to his wife. Temple left messages for her on their home answering machine, and he even left her a note.
Dear Rose, I was hoping to see you before I left, but I decided to go ahead and go today instead of waiting until tomorrow. Tried phoning and beeping you, but guess you were out of range. Wish you could have gone with me, but maybe next time. Take care, and I'll be back on Tuesday. I love you, lady, Rob. And then in the bottom of the note, he said, also, the tile guy said he could do it next week once we got all the painting done. Promise me you'll like this shade of white this time. Ha ha. Rosemary and I had recently been at her home, and she had never mentioned to me anything about getting tile. The whole note was bogus, designed to put the sheriff's off into a missing persons search.
I didn't believe any of it for a minute. I knew he had done something to Rosemary, and it wasn't going to be good.
Why are Rosemary's friends so convinced Robert has done something terrible to his wife? When Robert Temple's criminal records surface, revealing a violent past, their concerns only escalate. On September 26, 1999, Tampa Bay area realtor Rosemary Christensen disappears.
This was a big deal. It was a big deal because Rosemary Christensen was a well-liked, if not loved, realtor who had a lot of friends and coworkers who cared a great deal about her.
Police hope her husband, Robert G. Temple, can help them locate Rosemary. But her best friends think something horrible has happened. Their suspicions stem from incidents of alleged verbal and physical abuse involving her husband.
When Rosemary and I first started talking about the abuse that was mainly the verbal that was bothering her, Robert would say stuff about her weight, just hurtful things. I think as the relationship got strained, it escalated.
She told me about one incident in a townhouse they lived at and that he had hit her.
The incident occurred on the night of July 14th, 1997, in Clearwater, Florida. According to police records and these photographs, Rosemary sustained injuries to her cheek and eye. But her husband Robert claims it was all an accident.
Rose was up, opening the door, right as I tripped over a box and hit the door and knocked her back, and I'm still falling forward in the door. It cut her eye right here. It split her eye. I mean, it was bleeding like there's no tomorrow.
Temple was arrested for domestic battery, but Rosemary asked for the charges to be dropped, and Temple pleaded no contest to disorderly conduct. Despite the incident, Rosemary and Robert marry 3 weeks later.
Robert continued to tell her, "I'll change. I'm sorry. I won't do it again."
Abuser's first defense is to say, oh, it was an accident. And in some ways, it was a plausible excuse, except when you add up all these things together, it just didn't look good.
As the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office continues to wait for Temple's return from Illinois, his record of criminal offenses surfaces in the local media. In 1996, just over a year before marrying Rosemary, Temple pleaded guilty to domestic battery of his previous wife in Decatur, Illinois. He claims the incident was an unfortunate misunderstanding.
My wife and I were kind of drunk, and we were on the front porch. I started to go off, and I grabbed her, and we both went off into the bushes. Her mom saw that, called the police on me.
That wasn't Temple's only brush with the law. He served about 5 years in prison back in 1975 for involuntary manslaughter in the violent death of a girlfriend's 18-month-old child. Temple says someone else killed the child, but he took the rap.
He clearly had a violent past.
We're starting to see a lot of the past issues, especially with the husband before, that we really didn't know anything about. And there's a lot of concern.
Jeff and I both looked at each other, and at that moment we knew she was gone.
1 week after Rosemary's disappearance, and the morning after her 44th birthday, her husband Robert finally returns for questioning. He later joins the detectives at the condo. The local press is also on the scene.
And at our request, they agreed to ask him to come out and talk to us in the pool area of the condominium. So as he walked up to us, I believe every one of us had a whole lot of questions we wanted to ask him.
Can you tell us when you first found out how it all started from the beginning?
They called me in Illinois and told me that I needed to call where Rose worked because they said she was missing.
It was clear that he was presenting himself as a man who was in great anguish over the fate of his wife.
Rose and I haven't been apart this long since we've been married. And I miss her so bad. I just want her back.
Please, if anybody's seen Rose, know where she's at, please. Just tell her, just call, just please let us know.
When Rosemary's best friend Laurel sees the interview, she's immediately dubious.
His hands were trembling and he was crying, but there were no tears.
I believe that would really happen.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone try to work up a tear as hard as he did that day and fail to do so.
Not buying the emotion, Douglas asks Temple some tougher questions.
Sir, pardon the directness of my question, but have detectives asked you whether you killed your wife?
Yes.
And what did you tell them?
I told them no. I could never hurt Rose. I'd rather be dead than anything ever happened to her.
As the interview continues, Temple reveals he last saw his wife the night of her disappearance at around 7 o'clock, an hour and a half after she left her client that day. He says she left home to meet some people he didn't know, but that he didn't expect her to return that evening. Why? Away from the cameras, he drops a bombshell.
They lived an alternative lifestyle, he said. They were swingers.
To reporters, it seems plausible. But Rosemary's closest friends dispute the swinger story.
Rosemary would have never gotten involved in anything shady or along that line, much less swinging.
She was not a swinger. She was not that type of person.
You know, there's always two sides to every story, but it certainly seems complete polar opposite of the Rosemary that I knew. But from what I saw, it didn't seem to jive.
Reporter Mark Douglas investigated the story, but cannot substantiate Temple's claims.
I don't think anyone, especially not myself, ever found any evidence to prove that. On the other hand, I believe there was a lot of evidence that Mr. Temple and his girlfriend at the time, Leslie Stewart, lived that lifestyle.
Meanwhile, detectives have reportedly found blood traces on a piece of carpet from the condo. Surprisingly, Temple acknowledges the blood was most likely Rosemary's.
He said that his wife accidentally cut herself, and he cut the square out of the carpet because he couldn't get the blood out of it.
Temple says Rosemary's injury came from a fall onto her knee at work, exactly 1 week earlier.
It wasn't a scratch. Rosemary fell down a couple of times. That's how bad she hurt her leg, because it had really bled. But she said that what hurt her worse was her colleagues walking past her and nobody offering to help her.
Rosemary's boss, Jeff Beggins, doesn't remember it that way.
I actually bandaged it up with a Band-Aid, and it was a minor scrape, if anything.
Kathy McKinnon remembers another detail from that day, which she subsequently tells police.
After she had fallen and we had gotten everything fixed and stuff, she was outside smoking a cigarette, and she came right up to me. She said, "Kathy, do you think that Robert is plotting to kill me?"
It's an ominous statement, but still does not tie Robert Temple to Rosemary's disappearance.
If you talk to any other Rose's colleagues, Rose did not share her personal life. Trust me, I would have known that. I do not believe that she just walked up out of the clear blue and said that to this woman. That, I believe, is a falsehood and a lie.
After the press conference, Temple goes on with his day. Although the Pinellas County sheriffs still don't name him a suspect, the local press doggedly pursues him and his girlfriend, Leslie Stewart. After days of media scrutiny, he and Stewart meet with an attorney for help dealing with the press, but the lawyer advises the couple to retain separate counsel. And Leslie is referred to defense attorney J. Hebert. What Hebert is about to learn might just be the big break investigators have been hoping for, but he won't be able to reveal anything for 9 long years. It's been almost 1 full week since Tampa Bay realtor Rosemary Christensen was last seen. Police have searched her home and questioned her husband, Robert Temple, but they have no suspects or evidence to solve her disappearance. The local press shadows the husband and his girlfriend, Leslie Stewart. But eventually, the couple tires of the attention and seeks legal representation to handle the media. Leslie Stewart meets with local attorney J. Hebert.
For the time, we engaged in an attorney-client conversation, and we listened to everything she had to say, and we did everything we could to represent her the best we could at the time.
What Stewart discusses with Hebert remains confidential, and after their meeting, Hebert never expects to hear from Stewart again. "10 days after Rosemary's disappearance, leads are scarce. To keep the case alive, Rosemary's boss, Jeff Beggins, offers a reward for Rosemary's safe return.
We're taking that into our own hands, making sure that we're doing everything that we can because she's one of our own, and we're not going to rest until she's found.
We put up a $10,000 cash reward. Dollar bills, loose lips, a lot quicker than going in with a gold badge and asking questions and interviews.
After volunteers distribute flyers throughout the area, people come forward and offer private investigator Dick Price some new information.
In probably 1 week, maybe 10 days, I received about 13 to 15 phone calls. There were some people that, boy, they would have liked to have collected that $10,000, but they didn't know enough to put the nail in the coffin.
Over 1 month passes. Rosemary is still missing, without a trace. Her husband rents a moving van and packs up all of their belongings.
I had the condo under surveillance when I came across Robert with a large Penske moving truck. I sat and observed and saw Robert bringing out items and loading the van up.
Temple leaves town with Leslie Stewart.
They got away scot-free. They absolutely had no problems packing up Rosemary's belongings, getting out of town.
Because authorities don't have strong enough evidence, they cannot detain either Temple or Stewart.
When he left, there really wasn't much more to say about this, and the story more or less died down.
Months go by. Fewer and fewer leads materialize. Then, one last ray of hope comes a year and a half later, on May 1st, 2001. A psychic calls and leads police to a local pond. Divers search the water, but they come up empty. Meanwhile, Temple and Stewart travel around the country. They finally settle over 3,000 miles away from Bel Air, Florida, in the Northern California city of Redding. The pair has a child in 2005. But back in Florida, Rosemary's friend Laurel thinks the couple and their secrets will eventually come unglued.
Knowing what a control freak he was, I knew that either he was going to kill Leslie or he was going to threaten her one too many times and she was going to come forward.
The relationship does unravel when Temple allegedly threatens Leslie on August 25th, 2008.
This all happened to coincide right around the 9th anniversary of Rosemary's disappearance. Almost 9 years to the date, Leslie was preparing to go to this family reunion in Washington State. Before she left, Mr. Temple pulled this rather large knife, put it to her throat, and said, "If you say anything, or if you talk about this, I'll kill you, and I'll kill myself, and I'll kill our daughter."
Temple denies Stewart's story.
Leslie, off the top of her head, fabricated that about me pulling a knife on her and putting it to her throat and threatening her. It's really simple. None of the incident happened.
While visiting her family 10 days later, Stewart allegedly tells them about her recent spat with Temple. She decides the only way to change her situation is to get police involved. On September 3rd, 2008, Stewart sets her plan into motion. She calls someone she hasn't spoken to for 9 years, attorney J. Hebert.
And Leslie said, "Hi, Jay, it's Leslie Stewart. Do you remember me?" And candidly, the name didn't just jump off the page at me, but then the next line did. And she said, "About 9 years ago," and immediately at that point in time, the 9 years, I put 2 and 2 together. And I realized that I was talking to my client, who I had not had a conversation with in 9 years. And I was really curious as to why she was calling.
Now, all these years later, Stewart tells Hebert she wants to come forward and reveal the secrets of Rosemary Christensen's whereabouts. Her information will break the case wide open. Tampa Bay realtor Rosemary Christensen has been missing since August 26, 1999. But 9 years later, authorities are about to get a huge break in what's become a cold case. It comes from Leslie Stewart, the girlfriend of Rosemary's husband, Robert Temple. She calls attorney J. Hebert and tells him she wants to turn Temple in.
She had told me for the very first time in almost 9 years that she had had an opportunity to be away from Mr. Temple for an extended period of time, and that she was ready to come forward and explain the details of Rosemary's disappearance.
Stewart gives Hebert the same information she gave him the last time they spoke. A story that's haunted him, that he's kept confidential for 9 years. The reason?
In any legal situation, when a client comes in and consults with an attorney, the attorney-client privilege applies. And what that means loosely is that whatever a client tells a lawyer should be kept in confidence, and that we cannot reveal that information to anyone for any reason, unless, of course, later the client waives that privilege.
Now, Stewart does waive the privilege and allows Hebert to get the police involved. She will reveal what happened to Rosemary Christensen. On September 3rd, 2008, Pinellas County Sheriff's detectives fly across country to secretly interview Stewart at her family reunion just south of Seattle. Leslie Stewart tells the detectives, on the night of Rosemary's disappearance, August 26, 1999, that Robert Temple called her multiple times, insisting that she come to his condo as soon as possible. She arrives to allegedly find Temple drunk and making strange statements.
One of the things was that he had been involved in a child manslaughter out of state. Additionally, he advised her that there was no such thing as the Witness Protection Program, another somewhat bizarre, out-of-left-field comment.
As Stewart wonders what Temple is talking about, he leads her into the bedroom he shares with his wife, Rosemary. Stewart is stunned by what she sees.
Leslie Stewart saw Rosemary Christensen laying in a pool of blood. She wasn't breathing, her eyes were shut, and it was quite obvious that Rosemary was deceased.
According to police records, Temple tells Stewart that he was sitting in front of his computer when Rosemary, who he thought was asleep, snuck up from behind and hit him on the head with the butt end of a large knife. Temple tells Stewart he and his wife struggled and that he accidentally stabbed Rosemary.
It was at that point in time that Leslie compounded the situation by making some bad decisions. She helped with the cover-up. She helped dispose of the body, and she continued with the cover-up story that Robert Temple had come up with. She did all of this because she was scared of Robert Temple.
Stewart's story is the break police have been hoping for. But before they can arrest Robert Temple for Rosemary's murder, they must first locate the only evidence in the case, Rosemary's body, and Stewart must lead them to it. But they worry about how Temple will react if he learns of Stewart's activities.
We did not want Mr. Temple to get nervous about her not coming back or returning phone calls. There was concern that Mr. Temple had actually threatened to kill Leslie, and then he would kill their daughter, and then he would kill himself.
Police in Redding, California, arrest Temple for making the threats 10 days earlier. But Temple denies the allegations.
She is so treacherous and vicious, you have no idea. She told the police 10 days after the incident was supposed to happen with the knife. 10 days later, no human being that I know would wait 10 days. Why didn't she drive straight to the police? It's because it was a damn lie to begin with, that's what. So.
While Temple is in police custody, and the couple's 3-year-old daughter is with Child Protective Services, Stewart flies to Florida with Pinellas County detectives. She takes them to property along the Suwannee River, in the north-central region of Gilchrist County, Florida.
Leslie was fortunate that she was able to take them to the area where the body was buried and located.
Just as Leslie had told J.A. Bear 9 years before, investigators find Rosemary's body stuffed in a green plastic tub, like the one listed on the Walmart receipt. Shortly after the discovery, police in California charged Temple with first-degree murder of his wife, Rosemary Christensen. Rosemary's family and friends are saddened, but relieved to hear the news. Finally, after so many years, they learn what they believe to be the truth.
The family and I knew years ago that he had killed her.
I always knew that someday he was going to slip up because he wasn't that smart.
Temple has been extradited back to Pinellas County, Florida, to face murder charges. But he says they've got the wrong person.
I did help dispose of Rosemary's body. I did help cover up that crime. Those are very serious felonies, too. I deserve to be punished for what I did, and I won't lie about that. But I did not kill Rosemary, and I don't deserve to be punished for that.
Temple says it was Leslie who killed Rosemary. According to his story, Leslie was at the condo waiting for him to come home, to have a secret tryst. But Rosemary came home first. Temple says Leslie pretended she was there to pick up a computer disk, but Rosemary didn't believe her.
She said she turned around to leave, and out of the corner of her eye, she said Rose attacked her. Then they started struggling, pulling hair. When she was wrestling around with Rose, Rose knocked her back on the bed. Rose was on top of her, and they rolled so hard that they rolled right off the edge of the bed onto the floor. When they landed, Rose hit the floor first. Leslie was on top of her, and she thought Rose had knocked herself out because she wasn't moving anymore. But when she got up, she saw the knife sticking in Rose.
Well, let's just look at it simply. He was 9 years ago declaring and promising that he had nothing to do with it. So it goes to show you what a liar he is. So I'm going to believe what he's got to say now.
I would submit to you that Robert Temple is a desperate man who has spent a life manipulating individuals, and he is desperately trying to manipulate this situation.
For her part, Stewart may receive immunity from prosecution in a deal struck with the state attorney's office.
We hammered out, in essence, a gentleman's agreement. The gentleman's agreement dealt with three primary issues. Number one, that she testified truthfully. Number two, that she had nothing to do with the actual homicide. And number three, and probably most importantly, is that she helped produce or find Rosemary's body.
Rosemary's friends feel a sense of closure, but they're also eager to see Robert Temple punished.
Should it be death or should it be life in prison? I'm almost swaying now towards life in prison because, from what I understand, those circumstances are not the most pleasant.
Robert Temple looks forward to his day in court, where he will be able to face his accuser, the woman who he claims is Rosemary's killer.
But I'll be damned if I'm just gonna lay down and die until people know the truth.
Honestly, I believe that I'm going to be found not guilty. And I know a lot of people think that I did something bad to her, but I didn't. And that's the honest to God truth. And just because Leslie and I stayed together doesn't mean that I forgot about Rose. I never forgot about Rose. I've got her picture now in my billfold the whole 9 years that we were gone. I always carried a picture of Rose. I always did.
As Rosemary's friends' lives go on, they carry their memories of Rosemary deep in their hearts.
Rosemary was the most kind, loyal, devoted person. She didn't deserve to have this end. And again, I'm glad, I'm very glad that it's all over and she's happy.
Tim Carney disappeared on September 28, 2004. When a person disappears without a trace, often the most critical information is hidden in their actions and words from the days before they vanished. Tim Carney's last known whereabouts may hold the clues to what happened to him. 25-year-old Tim Carney belongs to a religious group that worries his family.
I think they were telling him, we're your family now. You don't need your family. We're your family.
Suddenly, he vanishes on his way to morning prayers, leaving his family searching for clues.
I always wonder if he was trying to warn us about something that was happening.
The Carneys suspect Tim's religious devotion may have played a role in his disappearance.
He would never go this long without calling somebody in our family and saying, I'm okay.
Just when investigators believe Tim may be out of reach, witnesses think they have spotted him.
He seemed very tense and very nervous.
Will detectives be able to find him before it's too late?
If he had to live on the streets, I just don't see him surviving.
Tim Carney has devoted himself to his religious life. For the past 5 years, he's been a member of a small church in New Jersey. Every morning, Tim has the same routine. Before starting his day at the New Jersey Unemployment Office, he wakes up at 5 a.m. and goes to the church's 7 a.m. prayer meeting.
He came home one weekend and said that he had joined a church, and we were glad. We grew up in church, so we thought that was good.
We stressed the fact that religion was an important part of our lives. We believe in God. We went to church every Sunday. I taught Sunday school. Tim was in my class as well as his sisters. So we were happy that religion was still a part of his life.
Tim joins the Gospel Outreach Church, led by Pastor Jim Lethbridge, and soon has a new circle of friends. His sister Megan would come to question the group's appeal.
I think Tim joined Gospel Outreach because they posed themselves as a Christian study group, people that were on his wavelength, you know, really focused on academics.
He didn't say too much, just that he was going to church and we were just happy to hear that, so we left it at that.
Tim surrounds himself primarily with Gospel Outreach members and has been living with fellow congregants since college.
He felt very comfortable there. He felt wanted and loved, and he felt at home.
While Tim had excelled in academics growing up, his bookish nature made it difficult for him to make friends when he was younger.
He was the smart kid, so people shy away from smart kids. He would be talking to adults at 12 years old because nobody else understood him. He was made fun of a lot. He just wanted to feel like he belonged to something, a group.
It was hard. It was very hard because we know he's got a great sense of humor. He's a great kid. You just got to get to know him.
Tim's passion for books eventually inspired him to write his own stories.
Tim started writing at a young age. Because he loved reading so much, it was just natural for him to just try to create his own adventures in writing.
Tim had particularly enjoyed mysteries.
His favorite was Edgar Allan Poe, and he liked to write with the surprise endings. In his briefcase, he had writing. He was writing a book.
Tim was pretty secretive with his writings. Once he felt like something was perfect, then he would share it. But before then, he was pretty protective of his writings, and he would keep them in like a briefcase.
Tim could never have known then that his own life would one day become the center of a troubling mystery. On September 28, 2004, an average Tuesday, Tim's day begins as usual. According to his roommate Roy, also a member of Gospel Outreach, Tim wakes at 5 a.m. to go to the 7 a.m. prayer meeting. But on this day, Tim's morning unfolds differently from his normal routine. His fellow church members report that Tim never arrives at morning prayers. Even before his disappearance, Tim's family is uncomfortable with the way Tim makes church activities the central focus of his life.
Whereas before he would come down and join us for church on Sunday as a family, now if he did come down, he had to leave right away to get back to the group. It was more about, you know, I got to get to Bible study, or I have to get to men's group, or I have to get to choir. It was mandatory for him to attend.
Family members worry that Tim's religious commitment is pulling him away from them.
Well, there was a big change in Tim. He didn't come around as often. He was very secretive. He wouldn't communicate with us. And that was tough because before that, we always had a good communication.
It was just really out of character for him, just not like him to miss the family function or to not call. And it was happening more and more frequently. I didn't like what was happening. I didn't like that he couldn't be with us.
Every time he had to go somewhere, he couldn't go by himself. When my sister was in the hospital, he would come down to see her, but he always had somebody else with him. And they made a statement once where it's like, well, we wanted to make sure there was a real Aunt Kathleen.
Phyllis Carney sensed a pressure on Tim to distance himself from his family.
I think they don't want you to talk to anybody else outside the group, because they always said, well, don't tell anybody about us because they won't understand.
Rick Ross is consulted nationwide by families and law enforcement. he has made a career studying religious groups, including gospel outreach and Pastor Lethbridge.
In my experience, the families that have loved ones in gospel outreach have very limited communication. When a group isolates members, they do that in order to create a kind of bubble. If they can control everything that goes into the mind, they can control the mind itself. So by isolating people from family members, they create an environment in where what the group wants them to think and feel is constantly being reinforced.
I think they were telling them, we're your family now. You don't need your family. We're your family. Well, churches bring people together. They don't tear them apart.
Tim's family notices that his devotion to gospel outreach and to the teachings of Pastor Lethbridge seems to have a physical effect.
He changed his appearance. He always had short hair in college. And one summer when he came home, he had long hair and he had a ponytail. We didn't think much of it. Actually, it looked good on him. But then one Sunday, we went and sat in on a church service, and lo and behold, the minister happens to have long hair and a ponytail. And so do several other male members of the group.
But then one day he came home with short hair and surprised me. Then we saw Lethbridge right after that, and Lethbridge had cut his hair.
Gradually, Tim's parents begin to see gospel outreach as very different from the kind of church in which the Carneys had grown up.
We had gotten a phone call from parents who have a son in the group also, and they had some concerns about the church and they wanted to talk to us about it. That's when everything kind of fell into place. Things that we joked about, we thought was kind of funny, but once we started talking to these people, it wasn't funny anymore. It was serious. We know he's a smart boy. We didn't think he'd be sucked into a group that would influence him like they did.
In 2003, the year before Tim disappears, his ties to gospel outreach grow even stronger when he begins seeing a woman who is also a member of the congregation.
He came home and said he was courting. That's the word they use. I said, well, what kind of word is courting? I wasn't, you know, they don't use that word anymore. That's such an old-fashioned term that was a little strange too, I thought.
Tim's family was bewildered by his dating rituals.
They could sit next to one another, but they couldn't hold hands. If they wanted to hold hands, they had to hold a fork. She held the fork halfway, and then he would grab a fork the rest of the way. And that was their way of being with one another. They couldn't touch.
At Tim's college graduation party, his sister Megan noticed that some members of gospel outreach seemed to have more conservative customs than other couples she knew.
There was 3 people watching TV, and the couple that was supposed to have been together weren't sitting next to each other on the couch. There was somebody in between them. It seemed like none of the girls could ever be alone with their significant others. There always had to be like a person watching to make sure that they were following the rules.
When his parents bring up what they perceive as the church's strict doctrines, it becomes a source of tension in the family.
We try to avoid talking about the church because then that only goes into an argument, and then we start yelling at one another.
He was constantly trying to prove to us that it was a legitimate group, or it was a good group, or that there was nothing wrong, that everything was fine and happy. I think part of that is that he wouldn't want my mother or my father to worry. But part of that is almost as if maybe deep down he knew that some of the things that they were doing weren't how we were raised or how we grew up.
All the Carneys knew of gospel outreach was what they heard from Tim, that it was a Christian fellowship devoted to studying the Bible. Despite his family's concerns about the strict lifestyle that gospel outreach seems to require, Phyllis Carney sees Tim's relationship having a positive impact on her son.
Oh, he seemed very happy. He really did. He seemed very, very happy with her. I mean, he brought her to the family Christmas party. If he's happy, then you're happy.
But about 7 months after Tim's relationship begins, the Carneys learned some disappointing news.
One day he just came and said they had broken up, and That's all he would say. Looked like he was upset about it, but he wouldn't talk about it. And that was it.
On Saturday, September 25th, 2004, 5 months after Tim's breakup, he and his sisters Erin and Megan have dinner at their childhood home to celebrate their parents' anniversary.
We just had a nice night, family-wise. We didn't talk about the church at all.
He didn't leave early. He stayed, and he had dinner with us, and we watched a movie after, and it was like the old Tim. Being in the moment, just being with the family, just having a good time.
The last thing he did was hug me and say, "Mom, I love you." And then he left and went home.
The next day, Sunday, Megan gets together with Tim, but their time is cut short.
We were supposed to go to lunch, but I canceled because I wasn't in a good mood.
Megan sees a potential clue she may have missed, looking back on that day.
He was trying hard to convince me to go out to eat, try to, get together, and I didn't. I didn't go. And it feels awful. I hate so much that I wasn't in a good mood. He wasn't always so insistent to meet for lunch. Like, if we get together, we get together. If we don't, we'll just reschedule, no big deal. But I always wonder if he was trying to tell me something, or maybe warn us about something that was happening that we didn't know about. I always wonder about that.
Tim's request to meet for lunch would echo in Megan's mind. Just 2 days later, on Tuesday, September 28th, Tim never shows up at morning prayers and disappears. Coming up, when police find a clue, Tim's family fears the worst.
We thought foul play.
On Saturday, September 25th, 3 days before he disappears, 25-year-old Tim Carney spends the evening with his family at his parents' home in Edison, New Jersey. As he leaves, Tim hugs his mom goodbye and says he'll see her next week. The following Tuesday, September 28th, Tim gets up at 5 a.m. as usual to go to the Gospel Outreach 7 a.m. morning prayers. But Tim never appears. By 9 a.m., when Tim doesn't show up at the unemployment office where he works as a claims examiner, his coworkers assume Tim is just late. According to his colleagues, this had become common, especially since his breakup. Then, just after 9 a.m., Tim calls his supervisor to say he'll be late. But by 10 a.m., Tim hasn't arrived. Calls to his home and cell phones only reach his voicemail. The next day, the Carneys get a call every parent dreads.
His roommate Roy called and wanted to know if Tim was at our house because he didn't come home that night. Well, no, he's not here.
We called his cell phone and it just rang. No one picked up.
Alarmed, Phyllis and Ed Carney file a missing persons report with the police in Butler, New Jersey, where Tim lives. When detectives search his home, they find no indication that Tim was leaving for longer than just a normal workday. Detective Colleen Pascal is on the team investigating Tim's case.
Nothing was taken out of his home of importance. If he again intended to go away for long, he did not take any of his belongings. His room was intact, his clothes were still there.
Police discover Tim took something with him that at the time seemed normal for him to bring to work, along with his wallet, keys, and cell phone.
We understand that he took the silver briefcase. It's believed that there were writings in that briefcase, which is something that he always carries.
According to investigators, after Tim calls his supervisor around 9 that morning, all outbound activity from his cell phone stops. On Wednesday, September 29th, the day after Tim vanishes, a clue appears.
We received information that somebody had found a wallet.
A patron at the Lyndhurst Diner spots Tim's wallet in the eatery's parking lot. The restaurant is on Route 23, halfway between Tim's apartment and his office. Police learned from the diner's employees that someone matching Tim's description used to eat breakfast there often. Unfortunately, by the time police received the tip about Tim's wallet, it has already been sitting at the diner for several days.
When the wallet was found, they called the phone number that was in his wallet, and his roommate obtained the message, but the message didn't get to the police that day. The police didn't find out about the wallet for quite some time. They could have questioned people a lot sooner instead of quite a few days after.
Police canvass the area around the diner, but find no leads. The wallet still contains Tim's credit cards, leading police to believe this was not a robbery. What's missing also doesn't suggest foul play to Al Schumann, a private investigator hired by the Carney family 6 months after Tim disappears.
Curiously, what was missing from the wallet was nothing except his driver's license and his college identification card.
Since nothing valuable is missing from Tim's wallet, investigators now reason that he may have left it there himself. If so, they need to find out why. Because Tim is an adult, his case centers on one concern. Did he vanish of his own free will, or has he been abducted?
If he chose to be missing on his own, if he just left and did not want to be found, then that in itself is not a crime. He's not a child. He doesn't have to report to his parents where he is.
Three days after Tim vanishes, there's a new development. In Newark, about 35 miles from Tim's home, construction workers discover an abandoned car. When police respond to the scene, they determine that the car belongs to Tim Carney.
When they found this car, we thought foul play. So we were very worried at this point that something terrible had happened to Tim, because they thought, well, maybe they found his body there also. And they said, no, it's just a car. There's no sign of Tim.
Once again, the investigation takes an unfortunate turn. By the time police get the call, it has been almost a week that Tim's car has been at the construction site.
That's where the city of Newark and the city of Elizabeth meet. No one was notified right away about the car because each township felt it was the other township's issue. So it had gone quite a few days without anybody contacting the police regarding it to even notice that, wow, that car belonged to somebody who was declared missing.
The construction site sits on a dirt road off the main highway. It's virtually unreachable by foot.
We didn't know what to think because, like, well, if his car's there, then how did he get out of the spot? It's in a remote spot. It was very far to walk to anywhere.
Investigators find little that indicates what may have happened to him.
It had been raining, and so any clues that there were there, whether it's footprints or whatever, were washed away.
No forensics other than his was retained from the vehicle. There was no sign of struggle. No evidence led any of the investigator officers to believe that there was foul play. It appears that the vehicle was just abandoned.
But detectives do notice one thing notably missing from Tim's car.
He always had this briefcase with him, and they didn't find it.
Since police find no sign of foul play from Tim's wallet or car, and the briefcase that had always been by his side is now missing, detectives believe that Tim may have disappeared intentionally. The discovery of Tim's car gives Tim's loved ones some hope, while also raising some unsettling questions.
Why would he ditch the car? I mean, all kinds of thoughts go through your head. It's like, did he get hurt? Did he walk somewhere? What's the next step? Where do you go? Where should we go look? Any bit of hope, you go running to it. You have hope that you'll find him.
Even though the car itself doesn't provide any leads, investigators do find one important clue. The construction site is right by Newark International Airport. Coming up, Tim's family suspects he may be in trouble.
He would never go this long without calling somebody and saying.
Mysterious signs of 25-year-old Tim Carney have been turning up after he disappears on Saturday, September 28, 2004. Tim's wallet is spotted in a parking lot the next day. Then, police find his car in a remote location about 35 miles from his home. There are no signs of foul play, But they do notice that his briefcase is missing. His briefcase, containing his writing, was the one item Tim was known to always keep with him. Since Tim's car is abandoned near Newark International Airport, police reason he may have boarded a flight. Tim's father, Ed Carney, believes that his son could have headed to Canada.
We thought he might have gone to Canada because he knows people in Canada. He speaks French fluently. He had 7 years of it in school.
At the time of Tim's disappearance, a driver's license was sufficient travel documentation for U.S. citizens to enter Canada. Since Tim's driver's license was missing from his wallet, it's possible he could have crossed the border. Phyllis Carney believes her son may have been looking for a way out of what they saw as the restrictive life he led as a member of the Gospel Outreach Church.
If Tim was going to leave the church, I don't think he would have told us. And so I think he might have thought in order to leave the church, this was the way to do it. The pressure might have just gotten to him.
Initially, Tim's family wants to believe their only son will soon return.
We thought maybe he's got to clear his head and then we'll see him again.
But as the days stretch on, the Carneys also find something troubling in Tim's disappearance. Even if he left of his own free will, they wonder if something may have happened to him.
I just know my brother enough to know that he would never do this to my parents. I mean, we're a pretty close family. He would never go this long without calling somebody in our family and saying, I'm okay.
Ed Carney speaks to Pastor Jim Lethbridge soon after Tim goes missing. Just days later, members of his church and Lethbridge leave for a weekend retreat.
And he told me when they come back, he'll give me the full support of him and the church and looking for Tim. I thought it was odd that they all decided to go away for a weekend and not help me find Tim.
Rick Ross has seen this response to a disappearance with other religious groups.
When there's a group and it's very small, like the Lethbridge group, which has just a handful of members really, and someone important like Tim Carney leaves, who everyone regarded as at one time a loyal and devoted member, it creates doubts in the group. So in order to get a handle on that, a leader may sequester the group and go into a kind of retreat where he or she can then spin the departure of the valued group member for damage control.
Once Gospel Outreach members return from the retreat, the Carneys hope for their support in the search effort.
I specifically called Pastor Lethbridge to request his assistance, and he just was unavailable. He couldn't be bothered.
They might have known if he was depressed. He was with them more than he was with us. Any one of them could have helped us, but nobody talked to us, nobody called. And that's more disappointing than anything, that nobody wanted to help us.
After private investigator Al Schumann also reaches out to Gospel Outreach members, he says he gets minimal cooperation.
The church members were reluctant to speak. As a matter of fact, they were very curt and abrupt in response.
Then, Ed and Phyllis Carney speak to other parents of Gospel Outreach members. They report learning that Tim's congregation has a very different understanding of his disappearance.
And I was shocked to find out that they're told that Tim's okay.
According to the Carneys, Jim Lethbridge has given his congregation a disturbing account of Tim's disappearance. That Tim is not missing at all, and that his parents know his whereabouts.
He told them we kidnapped our own son.
He just feels that my parents have done something with him and that, you know, we're hiding him. We're certainly not hiding him. We're trying to bring him home.
Still pursuing the theory that Tim might have boarded a plane, investigators examine travel manifests in the hope of finding Tim's name on a flight out of Newark. Their search comes up empty, as do Al Schumann's inquiries with Canadian authorities.
I contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They said that at that point, border patrols had tightened to the point where they were almost certain that he could not have gone into Canada from the United States without being detected.
But investigators realized that Tim could have found a way to make himself nearly invisible to anyone trying to track him. The search for Tim Carney might be targeting the wrong person.
He could have assumed a new identity due to his employment.
Tim's position at the state unemployment office put dozens of Social Security numbers within his reach, giving him the ability to create an entirely new identity. If Tim did assume another identity, it would be virtually impossible to track him among the thousands of passengers who travel daily through Newark Airport. Phyllis Carney suspects that with a new identity, Tim could easily avoid detection.
He's a very average-looking guy. I mean, he doesn't have blue hair.
Is it possible that Tim, the amateur mystery writer, could have created the ultimate whodunit?
It's like it's a mystery novel without the ending.
Coming up, Tim may be closer to home than his family realizes. 25-year-old Tim Carney has gone missing. According to his family, he may have wanted to escape his life in the Gospel Outreach Church, a congregation the Carneys saw as isolating and controlling. Tim's family hears that Gospel Outreach pastor Jim Lethbridge has told his members that Tim has not disappeared at all, and that his parents know where he is. Since Tim had access to countless Social Security numbers through his job at the unemployment office, investigators consider the possibility that he could be traveling under a different identity. Police get a lead that heats up the local search again. Since his disappearance, investigators have been monitoring Tim's bank account and credit cards. For 3 days, the accounts have shown no activity. But suddenly, on the 4th day after Tim goes missing, bank surveillance images reveal a man accessing Tim's checking account.
On October 2nd, there was an image taken of a male party withdrawing money from his account. He's wearing a baseball cap. The baseball cap was pulled down very low over his eyes so that you could not see who the individual was. Clearly, the individual is trying to hide themselves from the camera.
The bank is located about 7 miles from the construction site where Tim's car is found abandoned, and about 24 miles from his usual branch. The man in the surveillance image hands the teller a withdrawal slip in the amount of $1,000, just $100 short of the entire balance in Tim's account. When police interview the bank teller, she reports a curious observation. The person making the transaction had a red, splotchy rash all over his hands.
I knew it was him. He had psoriasis starting in high school. I could tell it was him. I could tell it by his hands.
According to his parents, Tim's psoriasis tended to flare up at specific times.
Stress plays a role in it, so that would be something that would tell us that it was Tim.
Detectives showed the bank teller photos of Tim, and she identifies him as the man who made the withdrawal. Upon inspecting the withdrawal slip, police discovered that it includes Tim's driver's license number as proof of ID. The evidence confirms investigators' belief that it was Tim making the transaction. When authorities checked the bank's surveillance images, there is nothing that suggests Tim was being forced to make the withdrawal.
The individual who was there did not appear to be under duress.
But Tim's sister Megan isn't convinced that the man believed to be Tim was acting alone.
There was no parking lot shots to see if he was by himself or with somebody else.
Without his car, it would have taken Tim over 2 hours to walk from the construction site near Newark Airport to the bank. Investigators believe someone may be driving him around. But the question remains, even if Tim is with someone, is he in trouble? Authorities examine Tim's financial history for clues to his disappearance. What they find surprises even those closest to him. Tim had approximately $20,000 in credit card debt, a huge sum for anyone, particularly a civil servant making around $35,000 per year.
He did not have a lavish lifestyle. He lived in a local apartment complex. He drove a basic car.
Well, we figured he was doing okay. He's got a decent job. He's making a living. He was making ends meet.
Tim was the last person his family would expect to be in debt.
My brother was always good at saving. If he wanted a computer, my parents wouldn't buy it for him. He was always really good about saving to get whatever he wanted. He always had money. He always had some type of emergency fund.
But when authorities investigate his work life, they learn that Tim often borrowed money from his coworkers.
Sometimes he didn't even have the 70 cents tolls to go home with. You know, he'd have to borrow that. He'd borrow money for lunch.
Tim's family suspects that his involvement with gospel outreach may have been a factor in Tim's large debt.
When he joined Gospel Outreach, we started to notice that he didn't have as much money as he did before.
According to police, Gospel Outreach informed them that as a nonprofit organization, it collects annual dues that total about 10% of each member's yearly income. The Carneys believe Tim may have felt pressured to give Gospel Outreach more than just 10%.
He was giving a lot to the church. He got a part-time job also on top of his full-time job.
We didn't realize the income that he had, it just wasn't enough to live on after all that he was giving to the church.
I do believe that he may have had to pay using credit card debt and things like that to remain a part of this congregation.
According to Tim's family, the impact of his contributions to the church was evident.
I just remember a conversation with my mother and my brother. My mother telling him that, you know, he needed new shoes. And I remember my brother getting upset and telling her that you're expected to give 10% or more than 10%. 10% seemed to be the minimum that they were expected to give to Gospel Outreach and Pastor Lethbridge.
Still, investigators have no way of knowing whether finances, church-related or otherwise, play any role in Tim's disappearance. With no new information, the search for Tim Carney begins to look bleak.
What makes it disturbing is you have a whole lot of questions, but we don't really have any answers, nor do we have a way to find those answers because there are no leads.
Coming up, witnesses say they've seen Tim. But is it him? And is he in danger?
He seemed very tense and very nervous.
25-year-old Tim Carney has always loved mystery novels. And after vanishing on September 28, 2004, some evidence suggests that Tim may have written himself into a mystery of his own creation. Police find Tim's wallet and car within 1 week of his disappearance. They establish that neither the wallet nor his car show signs of foul play. Then, a man looking like Tim appears on bank surveillance footage, withdrawing nearly all the money in Tim's checking account. With hopes that Tim might still be nearby, the Carney family works tirelessly to find him.
I was passing out flyers, various businesses and restaurants along Route 23, the corridor where Tim would drive his car to and from work.
About 3 weeks after Tim disappears, the flyers pay off. On October 21st, police receive a call from employees at the Terminal 1 bar. It's about a 10-minute drive from Newark Airport and the construction site where Tim's car was abandoned. They report that somebody matching Tim's description has been seen at the bar in recent weeks. Ignacio Pinto, the owner of Terminal 1 bar, remembers the man on the flyer specifically for what he didn't do.
He never consumed any alcohol, which is one of the reasons that it stood out to me. I mean, being the owner, I'm looking for people to always be drinking. He drank water every time.
Apparently, he also drew attention for being an unusually reserved bar patron.
What I remember about him the most is really the look in his eyes. It's like he had a lot of inner turmoil, and he had a lot of stuff that he was just, you know, in his mind that he was thinking about. I mean, most people come to a bar, they come to sort of, you know, let loose, and he was anything but that. His look, his energy was saying, leave me alone. He seemed very tense and very nervous.
If this was Tim, he didn't seem to be a man on the run.
He didn't look like somebody that was homeless. He was fairly well dressed. He wasn't dirty in any way, but he was always dressed the same. A pair of slacks and a buttoned shirt. Sort of office wear. Looking back now, I think he was just killing time more so than anything. I think He probably didn't have any other place to go to, and this was sort of a place for him to spend some time.
Ignacio recalls clearly the last time the Terminal 1 bar had a visit from the man he identifies from the flyer.
We had a problem with him, which I believe was the last time that we saw him here.
After keeping to himself for about 2 weeks, the normally quiet customer shows a sudden change in attitude toward a female bartender when he accuses her of stealing his wallet.
He caused a ruckus because the bartender said, you know, look, you gonna buy a drink or not? And then he accused the bartender of stealing his wallet and just making a scene at the bar.
My bartender wanted him thrown out because he was rude, it said something that was inappropriate, and he tried to reach and grab her. We just asked him to leave, he left, and he didn't really put up a fight. He just took off, and we never saw him after that.
The report of this incident leaves the Carney family concerned about Tim.
He's not a confrontational person. He didn't like fighting with his sister. He didn't like fighting with anyone.
That's not the Tim that we know. I don't know if he was doing that to bring attention to himself, that he wanted to be found.
With the unusual sightings of Tim, the Carneys considered the frightening thought that perhaps he might not be able to find his way home.
We were thinking at that point he might have hit his head, maybe he didn't know who he was. We went everywhere we could think of, because if something did happen and he didn't know who he was, I'm sure your whole personality changes.
The Carneys continue their search, hoping Tim might still be within reach.
We gathered a team, and every day, every night, there were teams working on different things. And one team would go out to homeless shelters or hospitals or supermarkets to put up flyers, and others would go to just local businesses and just people on the street.
Ed Carney believes that despite Tim's education and intellectual strengths, he would be no match for a life on the streets.
He's not streetwise. He would be taken advantage of so easily. If he had to live on the streets, I just don't see him surviving.
2 weeks after Tim Carney vanishes, his family must face a sad reality. Tim is really gone.
We went to go clean out his apartment because his lease, it was up. I think it was particularly difficult for my parents. My sister and I kept having to reassure them that everything would be okay. It was just stuff. It really didn't matter. What mattered is finding him and bringing him home, not how many shirts he had in his closet or what was on his coffee table.
10 months pass before a new development emerges in Tim's case. When private investigator Al Schumann is canvassing the area around the Terminal 1 bar, he uncovers a lead. Employees at a deli near the bar say they spotted Tim 2 to 3 months earlier, in the spring after his disappearance.
That particular deli was a real find. They definitely identified him by his photographs. He frequented that place 2 or 3 times.
The man usually bought a soda. It's another purchase that makes Al confident this could be Tim.
He bought a phone card, which would explain no further cell phone calls from or to anyone.
However, further searches of the area come up empty. The investigation hits a wall.
Unfortunately, there are so many variables of what could have happened to him, although I think that he has chosen his own destiny. And that is why we do not have any lead information to find him. Being a mother, I imagine it is probably one of the most difficult things that this family has had to deal with, not knowing what happened to their son. One way or the other, the family needs some type of closure to move on with their own lives.
Since the week of Tim's disappearance that autumn in 2004, the Carneys never hear from Pastor Lethbridge or any other members of Gospel Outreach. Still, upon investigation, detectives find no connection between Gospel Outreach and Tim's disappearance. Both Pastor Lethbridge and Gospel Outreach have denied that their congregation practices excessive control or financial impropriety.
None of their actions are a crime. Our investigation never led us to believe that any part of the congregation was party to Mr. Carney being missing. In itself, being part of a religious group is not a crime. What they teach is not a crime, and people have a right to choose what they want to believe in.
As the weeks turn into months, and then years. Tim's family hopes he is still safe somewhere, but wrestle with the possibility that they may never see their would-be writer son again.
Never did we dream that it would be going on 6 years.
It's the little things that you really miss the most. It's waking up on Christmas and not being together as a family. Seeing all of our stockings come off the fireplace and his just there.
Every single day is hard, but you know, you just have to get up. You have to go to work. You have to, there's just stuff that you have to do. You don't want to do it. You want to stay under the covers and hide, but you can't. I hope he's well. It's the not knowing that's what's the big puzzle. That's what hurts.
तक अखियां में थकियां तेरिया निशानियां में सा छेती कर आ जा सुने माहिया वे हाँ तेरिया जुदाइयां बीमारी वे छेती कर आ जा सुने माहिया मुक गई मेरे बाला दी लाली वे छेती कर आ जा सुने माहिया वो छेती कर आ जा सुने माहिया वो छेती कर आ जा सुने माहिया